I was in the academy 90 to 94, and then I was an officer 94 to 99. I joined the Air Force straight out of Stillwater High School and went straight to the Air Force Academy, which is in Colorado Springs. I graduated and was commissioned a lieutenant at 21 and commanded a flying squadron and had 100 troops that technically worked for me. So it was overwhelming, but it also made me grow up really fast. While I was at the Air Force Academy, Desert Storm kicked off. So we were all sort of motivated to work hard because we saw graduates ahead of us going off to war. And then when I got into active duty, I deployed to Iraq to fly over the no-fly zone with the jets that we maintained. And we landed and stayed in a tent city in Turkey, but we flew over the Iraqi northern no-fly zone every day. I applied as a high school kid, hoping to be a pilot because that's what I thought I was supposed to do with my life. And then got there and God started closing a lot of doors. And so I struggled academically. I was a straight A student and had 32 on my ACT, and I was probably the dumbest kid there. And it was Ivy League education, and I realized I might not make it through this place. And then I failed a vision test. I got a waiver for my vision, and then I started having issues with my thyroid, had thyroid disease. And they talked about not even letting me stay in the Air Force. But that was the goal, was to be a pilot. And then the coup de grace was, I think it was the Clinton era, and they did away with, I want to say 650 of our 850 pilot slots in my class. So most of us, they sat down and said, none of you will ever be pilots. And that was probably 2 years into the Air Force Academy. And I started realizing, okay, I think this is what it looks like for God to close doors. And I didn't know if I was supposed to just continue to be driven or if it was God. And so I asked him. And I was actually, I was in a tent city. It was when we were flying over the no-fly zone in Iraq. Mm. And I called my wife, and I'm gonna get emotional, sorry. I had to call her on a sat phone. And there were no, cell phones weren't a thing back then, and there was no internet communication. And so I had to go get a booth, at the comm center, and reserve 15 minutes where I could call her. And there's a 5-second delay where I'd say hello, and then we'd have to wait for the other person to answer. And I just told her I was kind of at rock bottom. I wasn't where I was supposed to be. I think I realized in that moment I realized in that moment I'd been telling God what I was supposed to do with my life and not asking him. The next sentence out of her mouth was, hey, I just met this guy at our Bible study who's an OSI agent. He's an investigator. It's like the FBI of the Air Force. It was literally the change, everything changed after that. The FBI was the best job I ever had. It was, I think, exactly where God intended for me to be all along. And stuff I didn't even learn to appreciate until I was older. I think it would have been wonderful to be a fighter pilot, but I saw my classmates go off and serve 14-month deployments, miss their kids for a year straight, and then turn around and go on another deployment like that. And I didn't know at 21 how much I'd want to be a dad, so I didn't know how much it would be a blessing to end up being in the FBI, where I traveled a lot, but I always got to come home and see my daughter. I forget now, meritorious achievement, best unit, marksmanship awards. I got a humanitarian award when my wife and I were stationed in North Dakota. The Great Flood came through, and it displaced 50,000 people. So I had a 3-bay hangar. We pulled the jets out because the base was on high ground. People were evacuating to the base. And the Red Cross came in and they put 5,000 cots in my 3 bays. And I somehow became the mayor of a town of 5,000 displaced people, literally trying to find grandparents with their children and young adults with their little infants and lining up rows of porta potties. And I think we did that for a month. And my wife she decided to volunteer for the Red Cross, and so she served meals all night and I managed the hangar all day. And at the end of that, they gave me called the Humanitarian Service Medal for that.
Do you feel changed by your experience as a veteran and as a former FBI agent at all?
In a million ways, yeah. Like I said, I had to grow up real fast as a lieutenant. They gave me so much responsibility. And first thing I did was move 1,000 miles away from home and eloped 30 years ago. And I went to third world countries and saw them impoverished and saw really violent, terrible things, but got to be the part of the solution for some of those things. Yeah, that changed me.